Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today, going to take a look at Hendon Hooker here, do a basic scouting profile. A couple things I always like to address every offseason. Remember, you can't build an entire scouting report off a singular game. You need the all 22. You need to have multiple angles. You need to have the ability to look at home games, away games, and get a full set of plays. I mean, at least 200, 250 before you can build that. So take anything in this video with a grain of salt. I will say that this is the most requested cover I've had so far to start our draft process. And if you're a fan of another team coming in to watch here, if you don't have to be a Saints fan, I think a lot of these will apply to you. Hendon Hooker is, in my opinion, one of the most difficult types of players to scout for anybody that's been trained to scout. So for those that don't know anything about my background, I was trained by the Scouting Academy to scout players for the NFL. Fun process. Ended up covering the league for 3 years for the Athletic. That was great. But I will say that these are the worst types, and not that it's not saying he's a bad player, but what I mean by that is it's really difficult to gauge how a player will grow. It's the most difficult part of the process. I'll probably do a YouTube short on this, the ascension or the projection of a player and what they'll become, and then the regression of a player when they'll regress at a later age is the most difficult part of player evaluation. The easiest part is recognizing traits, which is what we're going to do today. But then trying to translate how well those traits will succeed in the NFL, that's the tricky part, and that's what makes him so difficult. And we are going to talk about why that is, because it is a thing. So the tape that we're going to take a look at is I'm going to throw some of the broadcast here for all 22. I'm sorry, broadcast for Tennessee versus LSU. Any collegiate all 22 I get, I don't have permission to share. So I'll try to share maybe snippets in the Discord. But the reason I'm saying Hendon Hooker is difficult to evaluate is here's the first part of my scouting report. I've done 4 games on him so far. The long and short of it honestly comes down to the type of system that he played in Tennessee, which was a very collegiate friendly system. Now, when people talk about college versus NFL systems, well, what exactly do they mean? What they're talking about is how the offenses are designed. So basically in Tennessee, Hooker did nothing but a vertical spread passing system. Every play, every down, same thing. And the reason this is disadvantageous to somebody trying to evaluate a player at the NFL level is he doesn't run a ton of NFL concepts. He does not have the requirement to do full field reads. He doesn't have the requirement to break down a lot of defenses and react. What he has is a lot of predetermined throws and a lot of, okay, this is where the ball's going. You need to execute. Now, to his credit, and I definitely don't want this to turn into a Hendon Hooker hate fest, he does that very, very well. The question becomes, how much can he add to that? Also coming off the fact that he's an older prospect, 25 years old at the time he's getting drafted. And then also injury. That ACL is going to make a lot of people skittish. So you can see that I've got a 3rd round grade on him, but that doesn't mean that he's a trash player. And I think so many people struggle with that. With me, it's 3rd round means he's not ready to go year 1. But the upside of Hendon Hooker is absolutely beautiful / phenomenal. And we're going to take a look at it here. Let me make sure my Madden pin's working. Oh, there we go. There's Hendon Hooker back there in the background. So we're going to take a look at some of these plays. Again, this is going to be a spread vertical system, just all the way in, all the way out. There's a little handoff there, then bam, hit him with a quick outside the numbers, little 10-yard intermediate pass. Couple things that you will look at from him. The pass, cool, it's complete. But we're looking for Hooker himself. Love the lower body mechanics when he gets set. Now, one issue with him you'll notice through various games is a little inconsistent over here. But right here, not getting caught flat-footed. Love the transition here. One of the things that you want to look for is, remember, hip needs to follow through first. It might sound kind of counterintuitive, but your hip needs to come first. Your arm follows, helps you get that full range of motion, bringing power from the floor up to the top, and gives you a good, accurate pass. That's what you're shooting for anyway, and good zip on the ball there. Let's move on to another one. See, this is a quick pass. Didn't really get his feet set as much, but those are some of the most difficult passes to make. Those real quick, just turn, throw. It's all upper body, and you do see some good accuracy when he goes through some of those flats. Now, obviously, Tennessee's going to win this game pretty handily, and those that haven't watched this game, actually, let me adjust this camera just a little bit. We need more. There we go. We're not getting enough of the backfield in. Let's rewind. All right, now look at it. See, good mobility. I love him staying in the pocket. One thing that I think, because people looked at his rushing numbers, and I made sure to not really talk about this in my report, he's not a scrambler. Like, this is not a guy looking to run first. Now, one thing that he can do better is as he learns to read defenses down the field is adjust to multiple passing angles and take multiple options. This is a guy trying to move in the pocket and throw first. And that to me is a good potential translator at the NFL level. We look for stuff like that. That's a big positive for me. So let's move on. A couple of these side passes I'm going to just kind of skip over. I love this one. This ends up kind of out coming a wobbly, but again, looking to move and throw. Just needs to make sure those lanes are clear as he's doing it because that can get picked. But just to my point, looking to move and throw first. That's the type of quarterback I like. That one is a little bit of a duck. And we'll talk about that as an issue here in just a bit. And actually, just bring up the report again. You'll actually see it listed. If you look in the negatives right there, the worst traits about him are off platform throwing mechanics on the move and scramble drill operation. So I actually just kind of talked about those here recently. He does not operate the scramble drill well, which simply means when things break down, your ability to move and create something, whether it's creating a pass, creating a throw outside the pocket, he doesn't do that terribly well. He's not awful at it. And then off platform throwing mechanics. You saw how that pass kind of reached the end zone, kind of like a dud. People are going to say, well, that's because he's getting contact. You actually see it pretty consistently on the move. He loses that lower body mechanic completely. He has a tendency to kind of go really over the top with his throw, which will actually affect accuracy a good bit. He doesn't show a lot of touch at various times, but definitely has a lot of arm talent. All right, let's keep him going. Now, a clean pocket, a little bit of move there, back throw, and that one just kind of sails on him. There's some miscommunication there. Real curious what route the receiver's supposed to do. He throws it as a back corner fade, but clearly nobody there, and it wasn't even a catchable ball if he was there. See, that's nothing on the move. Even if that was his goal, it's off target. He doesn't have the trajectory he wants, and it floats a little bit. That's that upper body mechanic not translating into better lower. But this is a play that everybody's going to fall in love with. This is a reason to love Hendon Hooker. Now, remember when I talked about things being pre-designed throws, pre-designed reads? Well, it's exactly what you got here against LSU's defense. You know we've got this single high look. This is the go all the way. You just need to make sure that you hold the safety in the middle. His job is real basic. He knows pre-snap, I've got one throw to make. All I do is don't move my eyes until the last second. This is pre-designed, and it's okay. He executes it at a high level, shows off great arm. Look at it. So we're going to take the ball. There's a rotation there. We got a flat. Look, it's a three-dimensional read here. So we got these two lows that holds all this down. We got man-on-man on the backside. And look at his eyes. Eyes are in the middle of the field holding that safety. Exactly what he needs to do. He's executing to perfection here. Mechanics are good. He's not flat-footed. You'll read some scouting reports where he can have a tendency to be flat-footed, which will disrupt his mechanics. Good job on his drop here. Not having that. Steps in. Hip came through first. Perfect pass. You actually get some zip on that ball. Perfectly thrown deep shot. That's the type of arm talent that you look for at the NFL level. And this is a reason to really get excited about him. Because when we talk about how he needs to grow, when he's got things working right and when he's in a good position or advantageous position, you're going to get this. Good footwork, not getting caught flat-footed. Good job with the mechanics. Reaches through, toes pointed exactly where we need to go. Bam, perfect pass deep. And that's 50 yards in the air. I mean, that's arm talent. That's about 55 yards in the air. That's arm talent. We like to see that from a quarterback going for an NFL spot. So the thing with him is, and again, this is something I don't want to see him doing in the NFL, especially coming off that ACL injury, but you have so many things to like about him. Let me go ahead and adjust this camera again just a little bit so we get more of that pocket presence that we're looking for. There we go. Again, the running is something he's good at. I just don't want to see him do a ton of. Here's another deep shot that, again, is accurate, held up by the wide receiver. This is going to be pass interference. But, again, look at this arm talent. It might not seem crazy, but if you're a team that hasn't had that a lot, that would have been perfect had it not been for the hold. And an NFL receiver probably still gets his hands on that ball. Again, look at the defense that presents single high. Good job on the read there. Throws a little bit high. This goes into inconsistencies with mechanics. He never really gets his feet set there. He doesn't really follow through correctly. It's mostly that arm angle and ends up sailing on him a little bit. So mechanics aren't perfect, but still so good. So far so good. Now this is another thing. I know I'm kind of in the way on that one. I'm sorry, y'all. But in terms of blindside and frontside picking up blitzers, this is not something he did terribly well with Tennessee. So that mental processing as a quarterback, something he's going to have to work on. How can we get better? Well, that's one of the ways. Reading pre-snap, post-snap differences between teams. And this goes back to what I'm saying, the difficulty in, potentially him translating to the NFL level. Doesn't mean it can't happen. It simply means, will it happen immediately? Will it happen early on? You have slight inconsistencies with mechanics dealing with anything like pressure or scramble drills. Then you have things like ability to read defenses that come with late blitzers and picking those up. And that's, not just talking about peripheral vision, that's talking about your understanding of tendencies at the NFL level, which can be something that takes time to pick up, as well as picking up an NFL offense. And I've talked about, for me personally, I was trained, I grew up with West Coast style. That's what I'm kind of more used to. It's what I study the most. But at the same time, there's some things that are universal to any scheme, and the ability to read a defense pre snap to post snap is critical in the NFL because I know we talk about the best college teams, how good they are, but it's no exaggeration that the best college team will get absolutely, dog stomped by the worst NFL team. The intricacies, the level of play, the talent level on every NFL roster is so ridiculously high. So you've got to be able to pick up these little nuances and change your game to that. Hendon Hooker is going to have a big jump to do that, but that doesn't mean it can't happen. You're going to find a lot of positives in this play. Now, this game was a little concerning because you have a couple of fumbles, by the way, and I noticed that a few different times, having some inconsistencies with, not ball placement, but holding on to the ball. That one was a little bit of another just hold. Man, he's got running for first down. I'm skipping through some of these plays just because these real short ones, they're not huge, they're not real big. Nobody's going to really fret about them. This is a miss. Again, this is just as he has more time. See that double clutch, and then he doesn't really reset his base here. And again, he's going to be off target. This is something that's I'm talking about that he's got to work on after the play is no longer the play. What does he do? So here's your clutch. Now you got to reset. He never resets his feet back to where it is. Look how wide that stance is. Look at the arm kind of coming through first. That's because of the wide base. Look at this. See how wide this base is? Look at the arm. What comes first? That arm is coming before the hip. Got to shorten that base up. Again, that's resetting for a play, and he's got the guy. He makes the right decision, but he's about 3 feet too high and ends up being an incomplete pass. Just little things that if he can adjust, which is not crazy, he can take advantage of. Now, this is a great read, and this is just a miss by the wide receiver. He does throw it behind. You do want to see more accuracy here. Again, look at his throwing mechanics. Look at upper body, just the stress coming through instead of a clean rotation. But still, that's a great read. Why was it a great read? Pre-snap, look at this. We got two deep shell. Middle of the field is open. So those that don't know, I've talked about this for years. MOF. This is something that you are supposed to look at for any quarterback and receivers pre-snap. What's the middle of the field situation? If there's a single player there, cover one, cover three, middle of the field closed. If there's nobody there, like a cover two look, whether it's cover two under, Tampa two, whatever, middle of the field typically has an opening. So great pre-snap read here. Means he knows exactly where he needs to go, and now you just got to execute it. And I think he does a solid job executing. Obviously, could have been better. It's behind the wide receiver and everything, but the decision making, I'll like. So, move on to the next one. This is where they go to the backside of where they just went. This time, he actually does get better mechanics in. You see how crisp that ball came out? Better arc, better angle. Everything was much better that particular time. We'll swap this one more time to the backfield. Again, similar look of a single high from LSU, which is what they ran a ton of. So now he's going to attack outside with a deep shot. I actually really like that throw. Again, pass interference. He's putting balls in places where his receiver can go get it, or it's a penalty. That we actually love to see. We really stand that type of play. That was just an awful throw. That was just like a little toss at schoolyard. You need to make that better. But a lot of these little quick hitters that are real nice. Again, skipping the runs. He's a great athlete, but nobody's going to try to make him a primary runner in the NFL. Here's another designed throw here. Just wide receiver beating a corner, but this is playing the entire way. This goes back to what coverages are you seeing from this defense, but everybody sits down, and then that receiver just nasty at the break. And real quick, we talk about things that, what do you look for? Real quick, let's talk wide receiver. You can have at the Senior Bowl, you see these one-on-one practices, guys that make all this crazy movement at the point. That's cool. Where you really get a lot of your separation is at your break. So you can do the jab step, whatever here if you got press coverage, that's fine. But when you're getting to a vertical move, I want to see you just launch out and make your separation at the break. That's a great job here. Just nice, quick, clean, efficient cut down. And a great read and great throw by Hooker there. So that's kind of what I'm looking at when I see Hendon Hooker. I'm seeing a lot of this can translate well at the next level, and then a lot of But can he get better at this, that, the other? The big thing, if you're going to pick Hendon Hooker, is do you believe that you can take what he doesn't know and get it into him quickly? And this comes to an aspect that I can't grade well because I don't have access to Hendon Hooker. I don't know how good he is at film study. I can tell you that he's a great leader, report about all of his players and his coaching staff, and you love to see those traits. That's what you look for in a quarterback. But how quickly can he adapt to an NFL offense? How quickly can he pick up the Earhart Perkins play calling system? How quickly can he pick up a West Coast system? How quickly can he, operate multiple system types, which in the NFL, it's not just usually like if you're West Coast, you're just running the same West Coast staple since 1980 and Bill Walsh. There's layers to it. There's vertical aspects, air raid that gets thrown in. There's different systems that get used all the time. We take plays from over here from different teams to execute them against this team. How well can he adapt to that? I think it'll take him at least a year in the NFL to do it, which is one of the reasons that I think that he's a third round grade. But in terms of the upside, if you look past the negatives like the age coming in, the ACL injury, if you believe he's healthy, the arm talent and the mobility is showing a great weapon, a great player. And if you can take advantage of that, well, you'll be in a good position. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, well, real easy. Just like the video. Here, I'll even put up a little icon. Here's what you do. Like it. Just like that. If you have questions, anything, join our Discord, and then also comment down below. I'm curious what you think. Where would you take Hendon Hooker for your team? If you're the Saints, would you take him in the first, second, third round? Personally, I'm okay with him in the second. Prefer him in the third. Very nervous if he's taken in the first. But expectations are a real thing. Appreciate everybody watching. Who dat? God bless. We'll catch you on the next one. Deuces.